Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fitton Center for Creative Arts. Also, welcome to our 2019-2020 season. That's a round of applause. There we go. Excited to see everybody here today. We're incredibly excited today for Celebrating Self for the Butler County Sheriff's Office Emergency Response Service. I would like to thank our event sponsor, TvHAMILTON Hospital, and we have a few of the crew in here today. Thank you so much. To our media partner right up here, TvHAMILTON. You'll see them there and down on the river. Thanks so much to TvHAMILTON for all you do for here at the Fitton Center. And you will see them all around town. Make sure you catch them on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter. They do great things promoting what's going on in this city and wonderful things that we are all doing. To our live local musician sponsors playing today, David Thornton, First Financial Bank. Thank you so much. And last, but certainly not least, this lady's trying to escape over here. Two women in the kitchen, Kirsten and her team, for this incredible lunch. Yeah. Fantastic stuff. Thank you. For those who don't know Kirsten, she is here a lot here at the Fitton Center, working with us, working with our partners and with Fitton Family Fridays and looking after us. We really appreciate her and all of our catering partners, but thank you so much to Two Women in the Kitchen for taking such good care of us today. Before we get started, it's a sort of apropos that we have water rescue going on. We have a very special guest with us today. One of our volunteers this past May ended up in that river saving a young girl's life from drowning. True story. The young girl fell in the river and as help was somebody got in the water, and that lady was Jennifer Nye. Jennifer, can you just stand up for us, please? Take a bow. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to know what a certified hero looks like? It's right there. Jennifer, thank you for being part of the Fitton Center. Thank you for being one of our volunteers, but I couldn't say more from part of the family and the community here. Thank you for that incredible act of heroism and bravery and selflessness. That's where you nod and smile, Tom. Who's going to look after me? We'd all have to look after Tom if something happened to you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being our guest here today. We really appreciate it, and as does the community. So thank you so much, and congratulations. Today marks what has become a benchmark in our series, and starting our Fitton Celebrating Self series in celebration of our first responders. Today's couldn't mark a more poignant day for that, as our friends down in the Carolinas and Georgia and Florida, and then particularly over in the Bahamas, suffering very, very badly. And it's these ladies and gentlemen that go out on a daily basis to look after us, to look after our well-being, to make sure that we're taken care of in good times, and unfortunately in bad times, they're there for us. It's a tough job, but we here at the Fitton Center want to be able to celebrate that. You've seen that with our fire department and our SWAT team last year. And as I came to seeing things out on the river, it seemed quite apropos that we have this river right here, that we invite our guests from the Butler County Sheriff's Department Emergency Response Service. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Medical Supervisor and ERS member Tim Vaughn from the Butler County Sheriff's Department. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for having us out here. As Ian said, my name's Tim Vaughn. I'm one of the members of the Butler County Sheriff's Office Emergency Response Services, or ERS. And what we are is we're trained in various technical rescues, one of which being water rescue. And we're really excited to be out here to be able to demonstrate for you some of the techniques and procedures we use in case we need to get someone out of the water or the river. So what we're going to start off is the way the river rescue works and the way the water rescue works is it works on a continuum. You might have heard of talk, throw, row, and go. We use the same thing. The first thing we try to do is we try to talk the victim into rescue. The second one, if you watch out there, is they're going to attempt to do a throw rescue. What's in that bag there is a bunch of rope, and what the deputy on the shore can do is hold on to that rope and throw it out to the victim and get it onto the victim. The advantage of the throw rescue is it's really quick and can quickly be deployed. Each one of our ERS members who work the road in their cruisers as they're patrolling carry this equipment in their car. Oftentimes the deputies are the very first ones there on scene and can initiate the rescue simply there on the shore. The other thing with a throw is we have a throw stick. And what this is a flotation device that has a CO2 cartridge attached to it. Once that CO2 cartridge lands on the water and recognizes water, it will deploy and inflate and giving the victim a flotation device available to them. The number one thing I can say for water safety is anytime someone's out on a boat, you need to be wearing your life preserver, your flotation device. That right there will save more lives than anything. Unfortunately, we see it time and time again where people are out and they're enjoying the river and they're enjoying the sunny day, they're having a good time, but if they're not wearing their life preservers, it's not doing you any good if you go off the boat. I'm going to share some facts with you. So, floodwater and swiftwater rescue, I grew up on the Whitewater River my entire life, played in the river, never thought anything about it. I was in there constantly. It wasn't until I did this training that I realized exactly how dangerous the river can be. That water is constantly flowing and constantly pushing you. Things we don't realize, if you look up there, you see the debris in the river. Oftentimes what you don't see is under there, there's branches crisscrossing. And that if you get underneath that, that water flow will pin you against that strainer, what we call it. And you're not going to be able to beat the water, and that's where you're going to get stuck, and you could very well drown. So we got our victim back in the water, and you'll see our shoreline people are going to demonstrate that stick, which, boom, there it goes. And so that gives a victim a flotation device to hold on to. If someone's in the water without a flotation device, they can exhaust very quickly, especially if they're panicking and drowning. They could wear out within 10, 15 minutes. If we can get them a flotation device and they can hold on to that, depending on the temperature of the water, they could sit for hours while we can effect a much safer rescue. So while they reset, I'm going to talk about sometimes when we come upon a scene. If you notice, you'll see a drone hovering above the water. We'll use that a lot of times to scout out the scene. The advantage of the drone is it can be launched quickly. We have an operator sitting right there, and he can see. We send that up. We can look over the scene. We can identify hazards for our rescuers. We definitely choose the safest rescue with a risk-benefit ratio. We want to make sure that the risk that we're taking is worth the benefit of the rescue. There's a saying, who's going to rescue the rescuer? So we want to make sure we're doing it as safe as possible and as quickly as possible. The next demonstration we're going to do is a row rescue, or on our boat. This is where if someone's further out, so if on the shore, those throw bags have a very limited range. The advantage of taking the boat out is we can get up there, get them when they're further out in the water, or if there's a strong current that we need to maneuver around. This requires specific training for us to do. The way they're teaching lay people now is we teach them try to talk the victim into helping themselves if they can. Sometimes it's to get them to something they can hold on to, tell them to swim the shore, swim to your voice. Then it's reach. If you can, grab something, an oar paddle or a stick, and reach out in the water in their range so they can grab onto it and you can help pull them to shore. Then you can throw or row. But we teach don't go. We don't want lay people to get in the water and swim out to the victim. That is a very dangerous aspect and something we're going to show you later. The reason is that drowning victims are panicking. They are doing their very best to survive, and if you swim out to them, they're going to see you as their life preserver, and they're going to climb on you and potentially drag you under. So that's why we don't encourage people to swim. The other thing about drowning is it's not like what you see on the television. There's not a lot of screaming, there's not a lot of splashing. The victim is doing their very best to just keep their mouth and their nose over water, and it's very quiet. So if you have kids and you're around the water, I want you to kind of think, if you don't hear anything, make sure you're checking on them because they get really quiet. And as I said before, life preservers, I can't stress that enough. Understanding that water is dangerous, but it can also be fun. If you look to the downstream side to your left, you'll see our rescue boat coming up. And now we have two boats on the water. The one is what we call a safety boat. Their job is to stay downstream from the event in case we need additional help or we need additional rescuers. The other boat is going to come up and they're going to show you how we always try to approach from the downstream side. The reason being is as the boat is going against the stream, it increases the boat's maneuverability. So the boat operators have to be wary and watch out for any dangers in the water themselves. If there is a strainer such as that log in the water, if there's shallow water. So they got to pay attention to that. So in this scenario, our victim is conscious. He's trying to keep himself above water. He's trying to save himself. Our rescue boat will approach from the downstream side, and then what they'll do is they'll swing around from the upstream side and do the rescue from upstream. The reason we do this is that the boat creates an eddy for the victim, where the boat will break the current apart, so the current's not pulling the victim down anymore. Then they'll grab the victim and they'll use the buoyancy, you'll see them bob them, the buoyancy to help lift them into the boat. Then once they're in the boat, victim's rescued. So some other safety facts I want people to be aware of is in flood water. One of the things that the Butler County Sheriff's deputies will do is anytime we have heavy rain, they identify areas of the county that is susceptible to flooding. And they'll go and check, our team members will go out there and check those areas to see, is this something we need to put a sign up, keep people away. Keep in mind with flooding, it doesn't take a whole lot to wash your car away. Half of all swift water fatalities are vehicle involved. Usually it's where someone doesn't realize how deep the water is or how fast it's moving, and they try to drive through the water. So if you see those signs that we put up that says flood area, do not enter, please pay attention to those signs. 6 inches of water, if there's 6 inches of water, that is enough for you to lose control of your car. If there's 2 feet of water flowing, the amount of pressure that water can create is enough to move any vehicle out there. So if you're driving your car in and it's 2 feet, your car is floating down the stream and you're going to go with it. So please, when you see those floods, pay attention to flood warnings, pay attention to the signs, and don't try to drive across a flooded street, and find an alternate route if you can. So while they're resetting, does anyone have any questions? All right, so the question is what kind of training or swimming experience do we have to do something like this? So in order to be a member of the Butler County Sheriff's ERS, each one of us has to pass the yearly physical fitness test, which is a mile run, a minute of push-ups, a minute of sit-ups, that thankfully they weight according to your age. So the older you get, you don't have to do it as much as a nice 21-year-old. So because of the physical demands, we do need to pass that test. In addition to that, we take a swiftwater training, swiftwater operator test, and some of our people are swiftwater technicians, which is about a 2-week of 40-hour training where we go in and we train with, this group has been training with Bowling Green State Fire School, and that's where we're taught these techniques. In addition to that, in order to be a swimmer, in order to be on this, we have to do a 500-yard swim within, I think it's 20 minutes. I try to do 13 is my goal. In addition to the swim, we have to tread water for 10 minutes. Then you have to do another 5 minutes of treading water with your hands over your head. We want to make sure we got strong swimmers out there. So what we're demonstrating here is an unconscious victim. Our unconscious victim's there, he's floating, which is a good thing. Now the difficulty of this is they can't help position and get them into the boat. So in order to do that, they're going to use some ropes to get the victim into the boat. But like the conscious victim, they approach the same way. They approach from the downstream side. We'll circle around to the upstream side here. and then create that eddy. Now once they get up to the victim, they'll roll a rope underneath him, and that rope is attached to a part of the boat. And then they can just pull on the rope, which will then roll the victim up the side of the boat into the boat, affecting the rescue. The question we had was, what happens if the victim goes underwater? Which is a great segue into the next rescue we're going to demonstrate, which is the strong swim, or we sometimes call it a live bait swim. With that is we have a tethered swimmer. So if someone does go underwater, the strong swimmer that goes out there can dive down. They'll mark where the victim went down and try to dive down and find them down there. Also, we can use poles or paddles to probe the water to see if we can find them that way. But once someone goes underwater, time is definitely of the essence then, and we need to get to them quickly. So here's the strong swim. You'll see our guy is tethered to the shore, and what he'll do is he'll swim out, and he is a specially trained technician to do that. As he approaches the victim, he switches over to his back and puts his feet out. Because as I said, these drowning victims, they're panicking, and they're going to reach on to anyone they can, including the swimmer. So the advantage of coming out and you start with feet first is you can, if need be, kick the victim away until you can get them in a position where you can rescue them. The other thing you can sometimes do is splash them in the face. That causes a little bit of a shock to give you time to get behind them, hug them. And if we have a stream, generally what happens is they continue to hold the victim, and we'll let the stream pull them down. The current will pull them down and swing them into shore, and we'll do the rescue that way. If you notice, all our people, they're wearing life preservers, and they have dry suits. They are very hot. The advantage of the dry suits, though, is the water is always cooler than what we have out here. So it keeps them warm, and it keeps them protected, because unfortunately we don't get to test the water sample before we get in there, and we don't want to swim in gross water. Flood water especially tends to be gross and have a lot of sewage and waste in it. So it protects our personnel from that. Then they wear a life preserver, which has a release tab. So our strong swimmer who is tethered, we never want to have our strong swimmer tied to the shore. Because if something happens, that current, if you're attached, the current will pull you down, actually pull you underwater. And if the strong swimmer finds themselves in that situation, it has a quick breakaway release that will release them from the boat or from the rope, and then they can swim to shore. The other things we have are the throw bags, which are very beneficial. Then each boat, in addition to having the outboard motor, we have paddles on there in case the motor dies. You always want to have a backup. In any rescue like this, we always try to have backup plans in place. We assess the situation, we assess what's needed to get to the victim, and we have to make our decision quickly on what are we going to utilize to get to that victim. We also wear helmets, as you can see. We don't want anyone to fall off, hit their head. That's the other thing. When the river's flowing and we got a good current, sometimes the boat, it'll knock your boat up and you can fall off. If the river's not very deep and you hit the bottom, we have an unconscious rescuer. So, as I said earlier, who's going to rescue the rescuer?
Everybody likes funny stories. The drone, I told them they could, when the drone could fly down the hallway at the sheriff's office and go through the hallways, make the turn, and come back to the conference room and land on the table, they could fly the drone outside. Look, the sergeant's coming up. They were so excited. They came in, they said, "We're ready." I said, "Well, now the hallways are just small hallways, and go down and turn left, turn right, go in the door and land on the conference room table." They were so excited. They trained and practiced. I'm sitting in the conference room. I can hear the drone. Bzzz, and I can hear it coming down the hallway. As it gets close to the conference room, I heard, bam! And they looked at me, and they said, "Do we get another chance?" I said, "Not today." True story, isn't it? So, a week later, they came back, and it came in the conference room, landed on the table, and went back. So, but the first time, lots of pressure. But it was kind of humorous. They were so excited, and they wanted to impress me with that. And I heard it coming. And then I heard the bam. And so it's very difficult. These guys that fly the drones, they work with the helicopters. We have 2 helicopters. And when you see the drone, we just don't use it for water. We had SWAT exercises. We had the hostage. It was, 18 hours? And we used the drone then. It beats our people going in close and getting close. The drone can be shot down. And this individual where we used the drone, he already shot one person and killed him. And then he shot another person before he came out. And it was in the one before that was in the dead of winter. It was 0 degrees. They were shooting at our vehicle. And Rick Bukite was in the front of the vehicle, but it was bulletproof. But it worked real well. Here these guys are. I'm going to turn it back over.
Well, thank you very much, and we want to thank the Fitton Center for having us out here and giving us a chance to show off what we do. We enjoy it. It's a lot of training, it's a lot of practice, and it's a lot of thought, but it's important to do because any event that involves a specialty rescue, such as swift water or a structural collapse, is any one department is going to be quickly overwhelmed with resources and personnel. So this is where it's nice that we can come together with the various agencies, train together, work together, in order to provide the services that we need as citizens of this county. Again, thank you very much for having us out here, and we enjoyed it, and have a good rest of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Butler County Sheriff's Department and their rescue team, thank you so much to Tim. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Sergeant Mike Matalo. Where is he? There he is. He's the man who's put all this together for us. We really appreciate it. A lot of work going into this. Thank you. And thank you to Sheriff Jones. I really appreciate the support from the county, from the Sheriff's Office, of the Fitton Center, of the arts, and of course of the community. We say this today, I think it's our IMT team, our IMAT team, which are also my initials, which is pretty cool, are down there from representing Butler County down south as things are coming in with hurricanes. But obviously there's people like yourself all through that area and then heading over to the Bahamas and doing some incredible work, but looking after us each and every day, and we certainly appreciate that. Huge round of applause for our first responders, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much again to the Sheriff's Department, for Two Women in a Kitchen, Kirsten and the crew. Thank you to our sponsors today. We really appreciate it, and to the Fitton crew for doing crazy things when I asked them, like coming outside and doing water rescues and saying that sounds like a good idea. I really appreciate it. I hope you have too. We look forward to seeing you again at the Fitton Center again very soon. Thank you so much.